Tired of weeding vinyl? Are you getting sick of messy screens? Are you ready to see why direct-to-film is the future? Now, we're talking real DTF. Raw, unedited, uninterrupted, no cuts. Now, will everything go smooth or will there be mistakes? Stick around to find out. Now, our first step, and this should really be your first step with any sort of textile printer you may have as far as apparel decorating, talking about the nozzle check. Let's go ahead and get that printed. Now, what a nozzle check is going to give me is the current health and status of all the different nozzles on there. This will let me know if there are any clogs, if anything needs cleaning or attention. I mainly run the nozzle check to make sure that my first print comes out perfect. Now, on the screen here, the nozzle check is going to print out little boxes of each of the different colors on the printer. In those boxes will be diagonal lines, and we want to look for any breaks or interruptions in those lines. So we're going to take a quick look under the hood. All right, I don't know if you guys can see this from over there, but what we have here is a perfect nozzle check. I'm looking at 0 interruptions on the film. We're ready to start printing. Now let's hop into our RIP software. Now what I am gonna do on the direct-to-film printer, we're gonna advance the film just a little bit so that we don't print our first image right onto our nozzle check. And now we're good to go. Now in the software, for our direct-to-garment printers, this is gonna be just like sending a job to your DTG, except we got to skip over the entire pre-treating portion. So all I'm doing is grabbing our print files and I'm dragging and dropping these into the software. Now, once my file's populating, it may take a moment. These are some high-res images that we're working with today, only the best quality. We're gonna be clicking on each individual file and sizing them up to our custom dimensions. So let's start with this first one here. We're gonna click on this. Now this graphic here is a kind of a good square, so I like these. This will probably be the one that we actually print onto the shirt once we're done. I'm actually gonna leave that file sized as is. Look at this green one here. I got about a 7x15. I'm kind of not mad at that, so we'll leave that as is. Now this one here, this is gonna be more of a vertical print, so I gotta make sure this will look good on the heat press. I'm gonna increase the size on this one just a little. We'll go 9 wide, we'll go 11 on this one. That puts me, okay, so that'll be a nice full-size print. So now that I've got all my files sized out to my custom dimensions, we're gonna be printing what's called a gang sheet. That's basically we're putting collages of different print files onto the film to minimize our film waste. That's how we boost those profit margins. And also, this will allow me to bring our files that are printed onto the film through the powder station, through the drying, and proceed through the entire process so we can take them off at the end and press the shirt. So make sure you stick around. So for this red one here, once I click on the Copies tab, I can go ahead and start assigning additional rows or columns. You can see right now, 2 already popped up. And because these are the longer files we talked about, I probably won't need too many of these. So let's bump that up here, get some more rows going. And now for our square, this is the one I really want. So let's go into copies again and size up some more rows of this guy. And lastly, this green image here, copies as well. And we're gonna do this one. I can actually get some columns because it's a little vertical. Let's stack some more rows. And we should be in good shape. We're just checking on everything here. I'm gonna throw a couple more of those teal ones just to make sure that I have enough work in the job to advance through all the stages. And that should be in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and click on all the jobs at once. We're gonna go ahead and click our print button. And before it actually begins printing, we're gonna go through the process of ripping the files. That's basically where the software is taking all the images that we brought in, sized up, and quantified, and basically translate that into a language the printer can understand as far as little dots to be printed onto the film. Now while we're waiting for that, let's talk about the machine that we are operating with here today. This is the Prestige XL2 Pro. This isn't your standard run-of-the-mill direct-to-film printer running only cyan, yellow, magenta, black, and white. What the Pro is referring to in the XL2 Pro name is the inclusion of 4 additional colors for a total of a 9-color system. So on top of CMYKW, we're also going to be working today with red, green, blue, and orange. Now why, you may ask? Well, for starters, with CMYKW, we're basically able to hit about 50% of the visible color spectrum. And for most graphics, most jobs, that's probably going to be sufficient. But If you're working with clients who are at the corporate level or maybe very particular, we need to deal with things like color accuracy or Pantone matching. By adding in those additional 4 colors, red, green, blue, and orange, we can now achieve 80% of that visible color spectrum. So Coca-Cola Red's the example we always like to use. Hitting some of those trickier colors, we're talking about shades of red, if it's burgundy, pinks, your magentas, even certain shades of green and blue. They're just a little more difficult working only with those 4 colors. Now, to overcome this, that may involve printing color sheets, color charts of different shades, and kind of dialing in and selecting which one is the closest or good enough. With red, green, blue, and orange, we're able to get a much higher accuracy as far as what our final image looks like. And we're going into production now. Now, what we have here is 24 inches wide of printing production. Now, some of those larger images, that'll allow me to print side by side multiple graphics at a time, really increasing our efficiency. Now, as far as print speed, because we were running dual heads under the machine, we were looking at an astounding near 70 square feet an hour at a sellable resolution. Now, obviously there's machines out there, you could dial the quality way down and speed up the process, but we want to give you realistic numbers that you can expect if you decide this is the right choice for you or your business. Now, as far as the electrical is concerned, that's a big bonus here. The machine like this does not require any special connections, no hard wiring. We're looking at standard US 110 electrical that we could plug into the spare room or the bedroom or the side office or the giant warehouse of production. Now, this machine here is already starting production and it's laying the color down layer first. So it's similar direct to garment in a lot of different ways, but where most DTG printers, it's gonna go in for the white base layer first and then the color after. Because of the way the heads are arranged on here, we're achieving this in one continuous pass of production. Now, on the machine here, we have our Color Prime Quick Glide film. That's gonna be an instant peel. And I wanna talk for a second about the consumables on the machine. Not all films, powders, or inks are created equal. And these are things we should keep in mind of when we're offering these products to customers, to friends, to family, especially if they're younger in age. Now, the Color Prime products that we're working with, again, that's film, ink, and powder, they go through safety testings and certifications, and these are renewed annually, and they're not free. Not every company out there will put their products through those supplies, and with direct-to-film really gaining such traction, you really want to be careful of where you're getting your consumables from a safety standpoint and from a quality standpoint. Now, we got this going right here. Our first job's coming out and we got lucky. Now, in the software, when you enter in your different sizes and quantities, it's gonna do what's called nesting, where it may rearrange some of those images after we resize them to maximize that film. And the reason we like to print gang sheets is if we can produce more jobs out of our material, that minimizes our waste, the cost we've already invested into purchasing these materials, and that's how we raise our profit margin on every job. And there's that beautiful white color layer right there. Now, I do want to talk about the size of this machine on here. I believe we're looking at approximately 70 wide by about 30 deep and almost 60 tall. And that's going to be fully assembled onto the stand. Now, with the XL2 Pro and the rest of our industrial or large format direct-to-film printers, that purchase price does include on-site installation and training. Typically, we'll only ask that the stand be assembled, but we'll have an on-site technician at your location, if that's the home, the business, walking you through the entire step, making sure everything is set up properly, and make sure you're ready to operate. Now, what we're seeing up here, the black portion of the machine, and not every direct-to-film printer has this either, it's got an arc heating plate. Now, this little portion that is touching the film and that freshly printed ink, it's got a temperature to it. Not quite like our heat press temperature, but it's got a little bit of warmth. And what that's doing is it's sort of coagulating the ink so that it's not dry, but it's warmed a little bit so that's the optimum wetness, is that the word I guess I would use there, so that it can still receive that DTF powder. Now, it's got a little bit of a on-ramp here, if you guys can pick this up on camera. What's really unique about the powder shaker machine that we're working with today, the Miro 24, and you guys watch, I've been saying this at all the trade shows, this feature is going to become standard on all powder shakers. Just wait, but don't forget who did it first. I'm talking about this measurement guide right here, and this is really going to play a big part in setting up your roll-to-roll process. You want to make sure that the film is fed as even as possible from the take-up reel in the back, fed through the printer, and into the shaker. And the easiest way to do that, it's not by eyeballing or guessing. When you have a literal printed measurement, you can align these films so that they're going in a straight line out of the printer, into the powder machine, and we got the same jam going on up here as well. Make sure I got my motors running. Okay, we are good, we are good. All right, I want to talk about the powder machine for a little bit while our production is going on. Now today, we're working with the Miro 24. Now this is referring to the 24-inch powder film and curing width capacity. And if you notice, it's kind of compact. This is not an extravagant piece of equipment, and that's usually a sign of more recent technology. Obviously, there's no shortage of equipment suppliers and manufacturers worldwide now, but keep in mind, when you're seeing larger pieces of technology, if it's in your printer, if it's in your powder machine, if it's bigger than it needs to be, it's usually a sign of older technology under the hood of the machine. It's about efficiency. It's about maximizing our profits, our space, and our time. And we're really happy to see that the Miro 24 is delivering on all of these fronts. Something I want to highlight on the Miro 24, in addition to that media guide measurements right there, is what we have up top on here. Now, on a lot of other powder machines on the market, what you may see is kind of an exhaust or like a chimney sort of action that's meant to be connected to an external air purifier. What does that mean? That means a separate piece of equipment drawing electricity, an extra electrical outlet that's being occupied, all to purify the air. But if you notice, even though I don't really have one, there's no steam or visible vapor. That's what's going on up here. Now, I don't have anything under the hood of this yet, so I'm gonna pop the hood really quick. I know we didn't talk about this, but I just wanna show them the filters. If we lift this up like so, right now we have charcoal and HEPA filtration going on to keep your workspace clean and free of any of that steam, any of that vapor. I don't really like to use the word fumes, but steam and vapor I feel is a little more accurate as far as what we're describing. It's a water-based textile ink, that's why it feels so soft, and it's also very similar to what you'd find in a direct-to-garment printer, excuse me. Now we got everything going on up over here. Now there's gonna be a variety of sensors that are all working together, detecting where the film is on the machine, where it's feeding and the speed, because I don't need heat going and curing if there's no print there. So as these sensors are continuing to travel forward, everything's gonna be working together, printer talking to shaker, shaker talking to take-up reel. It's quite a sight to behold. Now, what we're gonna be looking for on here basically is the next station after there are prints is gonna be going to the powder station. The powder station is gonna be applying that powder to the wet print and really only where there is ink. Think of the powder as the adhesive or maybe the substitute for pre-treating direct to garment. This is gonna be the foundation that allows our prints to stand, adhere, wash, launder, wear and tear, and in 9 times out of 10, I'd say outlive the actual garment itself. And the powder, that's something I know has been making a little news lately or maybe last year in the direct-to-film community. The same kind of safety rules and guidelines that we mentioned as far as the ink and the film, that should certainly apply to your powder. We're talking about those safety certifications, the toxicity level testings, all making sure, because you gotta remember, these products are gonna be worn, making direct contact. But furthermore, you or your staff, you're gonna be handling these things on a day-to-day basis, just getting through normal production. You wanna make sure that the items, the supplies, the consumables, everything you and your customers and your staff are coming in direct contact with, you wanna make sure that they're safe and that everything's gonna be smooth sailing from there. Now we already got our first prints coming out. These are going to be good, waiting for these sensors to start kicking. Now, the Miro 24 additionally is also gonna be running off standard US 110 electrical. And that's also kind of unique. A lot of these shaker machines, you factor in the heat that's being used to dry and cure the prints in the powder, that typically calls for 220 volts. Hard wiring, special electrical, higher electrical bill. These are all meant to be installation ready, plug and play. And again, if you don't have that big workspace, if you don't have a giant production warehouse, these can be run safely out of the home. And as we mentioned, the filtration is here to protect you and everybody around the machines. All right, so we got these coming in, and I'm kind of looking at the feed of the film. It's staying in perfect alignment with those media guides, and everything should start pulling good right up here up front. This is gonna be in good shape to go. Now, there are a lot of options out there as far as which piece of equipment you're gonna be choosing. We do have larger machines that have faster speeds. We have some that run the CMYKW as is. Today we chose this one to really highlight some of those tricky colors, and you'll see some of the red ink that's gonna be coming out, the teal image we'll be pressing, and this bright, vibrant green. Now, let's see here, this is printing on there. Give this a chance to go there. We said there'd be little pauses, guys. We mentioned this is no cuts. We are going this straight on through. We'll be comparing this to the heat transfer vinyl a little bit more and the silk screen. Now, this is bumping out at a pretty decent pace. We are looking again at the quality setting that we chose today are right around 70 square feet an hour. And at 24 inches wide, that's gonna equate to hundreds of completed pieces a day. Now, some people out there may start alone with just the printer. There are other means and ways that we can apply the powder as far as manually doing these. And honestly, if we're on set and I just need to make one shirt for one video for one spot, I may just send that job out and then powder that by hand, throw it into my Phoenix Air curing oven. There are a lot of benefits to incorporating a powder machine if you have that volume. But again, you can start off with printer alone, but the full set together, that's how you achieve those print numbers, 70 square feet an hour. That's how you achieve autopilot hands-free production. And I'd say some of the main benefits is you're gonna have very consistent powder application working with the powder machine versus the hand motion. There's virtually no labor involved on this. Let me see, I'm gonna hop over and take a look at our settings while we're going. There, we got that there. Okay, just making sure that everything is on. Okay, that was good. I'm glad we caught that before that went too good. But like we said, we're doing no cuts, we're doing no edits. This is one continuous shot of nonstop, uninterrupted, raw, unfiltered direct-to-film production. And right now, this looks good. Now guys, what you saw me do right there was kick on the motor for that take-up reel. And Chris and Monica, I did forget to click that, but we are live, we were doing this in one shot, and we caught it just in time because we're the best. Now, right now, the feed has kind of advanced everything forward. If you guys saw that take-up reel motion that was starting to advance the media through, I didn't see quite a traffic jam, but I was looking to see a little bit more of a kind of a slope as far as right here, because that's sort of the angle that how these machines operate. This is being fed forward and the film is going into kind of like, I guess, a valley of sorts. And here we have the take-up reel, or excuse me, the powder wheel. So there's a wheel on the sides of the film. You can probably maybe plug in a shot in post-production or something to show that. There's wheels that keep the film in place and also keep the powder where it needs to be. Now with a machine like this, I would say that about every couple hours, you probably wanna maybe double check on the production, make sure you do have that powder. And let's go ahead and let this advance through. Time for a quick time lapse. All right, now let's take a look and see where we are here. All right, guys, the cookies are coming out of the oven. If we can get situated down low for a second. Now, what I'm gonna be looking for from my completed transfers, one, I would like to see the entire removal, no presence whatsoever of any kind of sand or grain. That's gonna be the powder left over either as a residue, residual around the film itself, or something that didn't just cure. Because if I feel any kind of sandiness or grain on there, that's probably gonna mean my transfer is not gonna last in the wash. We may have loss of transfers that, customers are wearing things where stuff is falling off, but we wanna have a nice, smooth texture ideally, and visually, there should be a semi-gloss. When the powder is applied immediately, let's say we're powdering these by hand, we're throwing them into the Phoenix Air, we're doing one DTF transfer at a time, you'll notice when you powder it, it's gonna have a dull or sort of matte finish because the powder, it's essentially a very finely grown plastic. Depending on the GSM on there, there's extra fine, ultra fine. It's gonna be a matte finish. It's gonna dull the color of that wet ink, which should normally have a gloss. Conversely, once it goes through the drying station, it's cured properly onto that wet DTF textile ink, you should have that gloss appearance back. Now, I'm looking under these beautiful stage lights on here. Oh, and I can see it. We're gonna let the couple transfers come through so we can segment these off, get everything situated and ready to go, do a live demonstration, because like we said, this is uninterrupted, raw, real, unadulterated, direct-to-film production, no cuts. I hope you guys enjoyed my little dancing. I was trying to time that out with the speed lapse. You promised there's gonna be a speed lapse right there, right? Time lapse, forgive me. All right, guys, this first one's coming out of the oven. Let's see if I got some scissors around here. Let me see. Maybe some will magically appear in just a moment. We'll let this guy keep going there. Now, up front, what we have here is more tension rods and sensors that are all working together. Again, all parts of the machine need to be in communication so that we aren't burning film, we're not wasting time, we're not wasting ink. but this is gonna be good to go in just a moment. And what I'm gonna show you guys a little trick as far as how we can take off the jobs that we need and also not have to go through the entire process of feeding the film back from the take-up reel behind the machine, measuring onto the guides on the Miro 24, lowering it into the powder station, that valley we talked about, so there's a little reservoir where the powder can live onto the machine, onto the wet prints. And then you guys, I know you can hear that smacking, the ta 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 ta. What's happening inside the Miro after it's powdered onto the wet print, oh, thank you, mysterious hand that no one can see. After it's powdered onto the wet prints, you want to agitate that off. And if you guys have ever seen someone do direct to film one at a time by hand, that typically means after we powder things, and maybe we could throw a little video somewhere in the corner of an example, basically lifting up and smacking, physically performing that stuff you guys hear right there. We perform that manually ourselves because if we don't remove all the excess powder around our image, that could technically transfer as little dots. And ideally, we're only be transferring our printed image, our designs. All right, I think we are just about at a good stopping point. I feel good about this transfer. So what I'm gonna be doing, guys, in just a moment is we're gonna pause production on the machine. Actually, I think I can pause this now. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this right now. We're gonna go ahead and actually pause the production on the printer, get that going there. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the production on the take-up reel. So by stopping the out feed and pausing the in feed up here, now I can go in and segment this off without everything getting all wonky. I'm gonna grab this clip really quick to support for some weight. Now you can also have packing tape or some form of adhesive handy to where you can reaffix the rest of this roll onto what is still already on the take-up reel, but we'll go ahead and get this sliced off in just a second. Okay, we got that there. There we go. Now that's not going anywhere. Got some tape. Like I said, we can affix this down, have stuff like this handy. This is live, guys. We're doing this all on the spot. You stay, don't go anywhere. All right, now let's get our print off of our take-up reel and let's get this ready for press-in. Oh look, it's our nozzle checks. That came out perfect. Hi, nozzle checks. All right, let's go ahead and segment this off here. And guys, this next part I'm gonna show you, we kind of never really talked about this, but I see this in the DTF groups. This little rainbow strip right there. That's not part of my design, and you probably see this if you've worked with direct-to-film transfers before. What this is, guys, this is a confidence strip. Now, on every job, you may not be necessarily using every color of ink. And if you're printing a batch order of that same design, there may be feet and meters of printed transfers without ever printing that particular color of ink. So by printing this little rainbow confidence strip, we're making sure that all those nozzles are still getting consistent attention, that nothing's clogging, nothing's being neglected, and in such a small uniform way that we're not wasting that ink either. However, before you apply your transfer, you do want to make sure that you first remove that. I've seen it in the groups, guys. People are like, why is this rainbow strip on my designs when they bought transfers from a third-party supplier? If it's not part of your design, good rule of thumb, don't press it. I'm also going to trim off this over here. And we're ready to apply, guys. All right. That looks pretty awesome. And that is a fully functional QR code, ladies and gentlemen. But this teal came out pretty dang good. All right, let's go ahead and get this applied. I got my heat press over here. Already good to go. Oh, what do you know? On my Print Pro Table Medium, I had a shirt just handy and ready to work with. That's great. All right. Now, first things first, and this should be with any sort of garment decoration, before you apply, before you print, before you pre-treat, any of that good stuff, you want to make sure we perform our pre-press. Now, for packaging or storage, there could be wrinkles or even moisture in the garment, and we want to make sure we're removing all of that and also laying those fibers down nice and flat. I could really use that brown paper in just a moment also, guys. By brown paper, we're talking about our thick, double-sided coated sheets. These are highly reusable because they do have a thin layer of silicone coating on them that makes them really non-stick, non-porous, but mainly it's gonna keep my heating element nice and clean, job after job. Now, when we go time to actually apply, we're just gonna go ahead and position our transfer Let's see if I can get you guys a good angle on this. So when I'm positioning, sometimes I will bring the collar onto the platen so I can visibly see how far down it's gonna be from the neckline. Men's graphics, typically maybe 2-3 fingers from that collar. So with that in mind, we're just gonna go ahead, measure this out like so. Got a nice good sized graphic. Because it's taking up a good amount of my platen, it's a lot easier to center, but just making sure everything's balanced on the sides. Same thing with the sleeves. But when we do go down to actually press, I'm gonna make sure I move this collar all the way off. So now I have a nice, smooth, even surface, even application of my transfer. Now we mentioned earlier, we're working with Color Prime Quick Glide film, which is instant. It's not just fast, it's quick. So we're gonna go ahead and press this at about 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 seconds. And I'll show you live on camera again. This is unadulterated, unfiltered, non-stop, raw, no-cut, direct-to-film, roll-to-roll, non-stop production. Give us a couple more seconds here. And that should be good. Now with cold peel films, usually you're letting it get back to room temp. Hot peel, you gotta rub it or you gotta wait. This is a true instant peel, guys. We're gonna go ahead and go not up to the ceiling, low against the garment itself. Not a drop of bloody ink on this film. That was a good production print. Everybody, round of applause for our roll-to-roll XL2 Pro Miro 24 Quick Glide film. We're not done yet. We want to do one more, what's known as the finishing press. Now, today again, we're also going to be using this. But while you're here on the YouTube channel, we just dropped an awesome video showing how to achieve screen print-like hand feel and texture using common household items that you may already have. You can go ahead and click that link right in the left corner. Hopefully I'm positioning this right for more information. Now the finishing press, this is done same settings, same temperature, same pressure, but only for 5 seconds. Now the reason we're doing this is if your film left any kind of gloss or sheen or shine, this should give you more of a matte or retail appearance. This is also gonna further embed that transfer deeper into those fibers. And let's say you weren't working with the very best film, you didn't get your DTF station, Color Prime supplies, consumables, printing equipment, what have you. Maybe you had a little excess powder that transferred with it. That'll give you a chance to cook that right into there. But I'm really happy with how this teal came out. I'm super stoked with the white, bold opacity of those elements. And again, fully functional QR code, fine detail. There's little punctuation in there. It says established 1986. But that came out really, really good, guys. Again, if you guys are looking to get more information on anything DTG, DTF, UV DTF, printers for your industrial setup, or getting started out of the home, you're already in the right spot. I know we covered a lot of things today. If you have any questions, let us know in that comment section. And I got a question for you. If you're already in printing or vinyl, but you're not doing DTF yet, why not? You guys saw the vibrancy, you saw the efficiency. This can be a better way to operate, and DTF might be what takes your printing business to the next level. Now, if you made it this far in this video, this is really fun. First time we've kind of done something like this, non-cuts, no edits. Thank you from all of us here. If you haven't done so already, make sure that red subscribe button's hit. Tap that post notification bell. Drop a thumbs up. Say what's up in the comments. I will probably keep this one for myself, but from all of us here at All American Print Supply, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one. We got it?